Good evening, BookTube. This is Johnny. Today is September the 3rd, 2019. It is 7:30 at night here in West Michigan. I'm sitting in my main study because in the dining room, my dear sweet wife is having FaceTime on her cell phone with our middle child, Josiah, and his wife, Hannah, and our little granddaughter, Marika, there in the Seattle, Washington area. So I retreated into my main study to write in my diary. I'm on page 793 for the year 2019. Like I said, it's September the 3rd, 2019. And yeah, the death flow keeps flowing in the dead zone. Yeah, I came here, all the camera batteries are not working. I bought 3 new camera batteries for this camera, and I'm using an old camera battery from this camera. This camera belonged to my wife, and I used to make videos with this camera years ago, but the videos can only last about 15 minutes, so I'm sure that this video will not... It might die on me as I'm talking to you guys. So yeah, so it is a Tuesday night. I didn't do Monday reads. I finished last night Nicotine by Nell Zink. And I've been struggling how to review this book. And I keep wondering why I have a hard time reviewing this book, because I did enjoy reading it on a certain level. And as I've said, I've read her other novels, which is unusual too, that I've read all that she has written. The Wall Creeper was her first novel. Then she wrote Mislaid. And then she published a novel called Private Novelist, which is hard to define exactly what private novelist is. And then she just came out with, then she wrote Nicotine, and this I got in the mail the other day. This is her new novel, Doxology. So I finished reading this, and I just don't know why I can't review it. I mean, because there's a certain attraction I have to Nell Zink's novels. It's the characters, the cultural setting, the politics, the music, the characters who are, I don't know what it is, but I just find myself liking to immerse myself in Nell Zink's world, which is kind of surprising because here I am supposed to be a conservative, Presbyterian, Calvinistic kind of gospel evangelist, and yet I find myself wanting to immerse myself in the characters and the world of hipsters and anarchists and squatters and punks and just people who live outside of middle class bourgeoisie society. And why is that? But once again, as I've said, I've always been attracted to madmen, poets, writers, painters, artists, misfits, eccentrics, people who are just kind of don't fit. And maybe I kind of feel that's how I am, because I seem to be a failure at conforming to the evangelical, conservative, Calvinistic world, church world. I don't know. But anyway, I finished Nicotine last night. I enjoyed reading it. And then I started reading last night before I went to bed, Doxology by Nell Zink. Really enjoyed the first. I read only 16 pages before I started getting sleepy. I really enjoyed it. I look forward to reading more of it. But today after reading this morning, I read William Perkins, the father of English 17th English Puritanism, William Perkins. I've been reading the first treatise in volume 7, The Reformed Catholic. I read that this morning for morning worship. And then I started reading this afternoon The Cold Warriors, Writers Who Waged the Literary Cold War by Duncan Wright. And I really got into this. And then I got out these books to read along with it, because the first chapter goes into Orwell. Forgot the first name. Orwell. What's his first name? My mind just went blank. The first chapter is on George Orwell and his experience in the Spanish Civil War. They're in Spain around the late 1930s, and how that affected his writings and how it affected his view of the Cold War and Stalin and all those events. So I got out this book by Richard Rhodes, Hell and Good Company, The Spanish Civil War and the World It Made. There's a chapter in here on George Orwell and all the writers who volunteered to fight against the fascists, Franco and the nationalists. So I got this out. I also got these other books out on the Spanish Civil War. The Spanish Civil War, Reaction, Revolution, and Revenge by Paul Preston. Spain in Our Hearts, Americans in the Spanish Civil War, 1936 to 1939 by Adam Hochschild. And then I read this book last year, Hemingway, Dos Passos and the Friendship Made and Lost in War, The Ambulance Drivers by James McGrath Morris. So I got these out to look at because it goes along with what I'm reading in The Cold Warriors about Arthur Kistler and George Orwell and their experience and how it affected their politics and how they affected how they viewed Stalin and Russia and how it was set forth in their writings, especially 1984 by George Orwell. So, yeah. I did get in the mail a CD by The Cult of Extinction. This is their new CD, Ritual in the Absolute Absence of Light. This is really very black, ambient, melodic death metal. So yeah, tomorrow will be September the 4th, 2019 in the Flow of Existence. And Carol's off tonight and tomorrow night. I think she goes back to work Friday and Saturday. So yeah. I do got used books coming in the mail. I did go to thrift stores today, but I didn't find anything. I had to go to a seed store and get sunflower seeds and crack corn for our birds. So yeah, tonight I've been reading The Cold Warriors, Writers Who Waged the Literary Cold War by Duncan Wright. Rereading Hell and Good Company, The Civil War and the World It Made by Richard Rhodes. And starting to read Doxology by Nell Zink. And tomorrow morning I'll probably read Doing Theology of the Reformers, Divine Christ, Paul, the Lord Jesus, and the Scriptures of Israel by David B. Capps. So yeah, that's what's going on. I hope you're having a good week. And thank you for the new subscribers. Thank you for the comments. Do pray that you're all doing well. And I'll sign off. Until next time, bye.